And we are going to take you on a tour of CubiCasa today. And CubiCasa is actually one of my favorite products. If I haven't had a chance to meet you before, my name is Colleen DeLang. I am the Director of Education here at my Real Source. But a little bit about me is I use this product as a realtor as well of the last 25 years. I will say that I've probably been using CubiCasa for over 3.5 years now, probably done 17 or 18 scans. And what I like to do when I teach this class is not only tell you all about CubiCasa, everything from how to sign up to get started, but I actually want to take you on a real quick live scan so you can see exactly what to expect when you're using the app. Don't get me wrong, PowerPoints are always nice and it's great to know what to expect, but how does it really operate? And if you're standing next to your seller, are you going to be comfortable doing that? So I'm going to give you all the what you need to know ahead, and then we'll do a real life scan. Now, I have to apologize ahead of time. I am in week 5, I'm sorry, of a 9-week construction project at my house. I had a pipe burst, and unfortunately it did $60,000 worth of damage. So you may hear a little bit of background noise today, and I won't be doing the normal full level scan. We'll just probably be scanning the office and maybe the hallway, so you can kind of get the idea, but you'll get the idea nonetheless. And I'm going to take you through everything from signing up to the things that you need to know so that there's no surprises. And then again, we'll do a live scan so you can see exactly how it operates. Sometimes we don't use CubiCasa on a regular basis though. So just so you know, I do record all of our classes here at my Real Source. So let's say it's 2 months from now before you get your next listing and you want to do CubiCasa then. So don't worry, I'm going to record this. I'm going to show you where you can find this afterward. So if you do have any questions, even down the road, you'll be able to watch this exact class so that you'll say, oh my gosh, I remember when she did that. All right, so if you have not been on a webinar with me before, I also love it when you ask questions. So there is a questions box in your GoToWebinar panel. And I'm happy to say if you're in the My Real Source area, we have a classroom in Shelby Township, 22 in Hayes. We just finished up our hybrid classroom. And basically that's where you can come in and attend classes. But those same classes are also offered in a webinar. So if you're one of those people who wants to come in, maybe have a little help, maybe downloading certain apps, or maybe you just need a little bit more hands-on help, we offer our classroom now, which we just redid again, so you can attend via webinar or be part of the live class too. All right, so enough of me talking. Let's get into CubiCasa and everything that you need to know. But in your GoToWebinar panel, that's where you can ask any questions today. It'll pop up on my screen, and then we can go ahead and address your questions. So don't feel like you have to hold all your questions to the end. Just simply throw them in that questions box, and that will allow me to see them, and we can go ahead and answer them then. All right, so in about 2 seconds, you should be able to see my screen. And if I can just have anybody on the call in the questions box, just let me know that you can see and hear me okay. There is nothing worse than when I go to upload this into our YouTube channel. And again, I'll show you where to find this. There's nothing worse than finding out, oh my God, nobody heard you for the first 6 minutes or something like that. So that's always awful. All good. Thank you so much, Benjamin. And thanks so much, Robert. All right, so that's where we're going to start today. And I'll actually turn my fuzzy, messy hair off, and we'll get right into what CubiCasa is. So CubiCasa is just what the name sounds like. CubiCasa is cubic, obviously, measurement, and casa, the Spanish word for home. Basically, it's where you can click on an app and you can literally walk through your listing. It will not only measure each and every room, but it will give you the square footage, and it will create a whole floor plan for you. It'll do each level individually, and then it will do a combined scan. But there are some things you need to know when you use it. The first question I always get is, well, Colleen, how much is it going to cost me? And the good news is CubiCasa is free. Then the next question that always comes up, well, is there an app fee? And the answer is no. There's no fee for installing. There's no fee. A lot of people say, well, is there a monthly fee? And the answer is no. This is actually a free floor planning app. that again will give you your results. They guarantee within 24 hours. But I'm going to be honest, I've been very happy because I've gotten most of mine back within 12, which is really nice. If you're going on a listing appointment at 7 o'clock at night and you want to put your listing in first thing in the morning, by the time I go to enter my listing, I have all of my room measurements and my floor plan back. But there are a couple things that you're going to want to know. They do send you a couple different formats. I'm going to explain why that is. And you can also toggle the room measurements on and off. You can put them in several different places within the MLS. And they do have upsells just like any product. So I just want to let you know that. I mean, they do offer like dollhouse tours and the Matterport tours. All of those things are available. They even have AI tours. Still get a little nervous about the AI tours. And the reason I do is just, I have a hard time walking in myself sometimes and determining, is it really granite? Is it really quartz? So when it comes to AI, I get a little nervous when it starts labeling everything in the accuracy. If I can't tell and I'm standing there, I certainly don't know how they can do that with a photo. But those are things that are offered as upsells. But a little bit about this product, because we actually beta tested 7 different floor plan apps. Some of them, there was going to be a charge. They were going to give us like a year free, and then they were going to start charging, which we didn't want. Some of them were a little clunky to use, to be totally honest. They were a little bit kind of cumbersome, I thought, especially if a seller is standing right next to you. I want something that's really easy. And some of them did not offer all of the features that we found this one did. So how CubiCasa got started is it actually started out of it was out of Norway. This developer decided that in Europe, and Europe's a little bit different if you know anything about the European real estate market, they have more portals where we have the MLS, right? But on their portals, they have 90% of their listings on their portals have floor plans and room measurements. When they were looking at the US market, though, they noticed that less than 10% had floor plans. And one of the reasons was there just really weren't a lot of good apps. And 2, of that 10%, it was mostly either new construction or it was rentals. And so they saw a huge hole there and they said, how can we make something that will allow agents to add a floor plan for every listing? And so that's what they actually created, but they made it so easy. I think that's why people choose CubiCasa over any of the others. So obviously things that make your listing stand out. Photos are a must. We know that if a buyer receives, let's say either through our collab center or a portal, if they receive a new listing and it doesn't have photos, they generally move right on to the next listing. We know that obviously having labels and descriptions and good comments are important. But my father right now, it was a really good example. I thought he is trying to purchase a home in Oklahoma. And he said, you know what, Kelly, it's really hard from the photos really to see, is this going to meet our lifestyle? I mean, I can see it's got a great room, but it's really tough to see, can I be talking to our guests, because they love to entertain, can I be talking to our guests while we're cooking in our kitchen? And can we, and he said, from the photos, it's really very tricky. We're not going to keep going out to Oklahoma over and over again. And so that's really when it hit me, that really having a detailed floor plan really does help your listing in so many ways, because it's like walking through that floor plan. It's showing them exactly how conducive is this. Can they be standing in the kitchen and still talking to their guests in the great room? So CubiCasa was invented, and the idea with CubiCasa is not only did they want to make it easy, but they wanted to make it flexible, because let's face it, we're all doing different types of business. And if you are, let's say you are doing new construction, and let's say you are sitting in the new construction model, you probably have different elevations in that model. A lot of times there'll be an elevation A, an elevation B, and an elevation C. So if you buy in at elevation A, it's usually one price and it gives you one amount of square footage. However, if they add that bonus room on in elevation B, now you've got a different room with a different square footage, right? So the idea was that they wanted to make this editable, meaning that you, the agent, can actually go in. You can decide if you want the room measurements on or not. So if you are doing new construction and you have a larger model that's available, you can actually remove the room measurements. You can also relabel the rooms. It's kind of funny. I hate to date myself, but I'm old and been doing this for 26 years, so I guess I can do that. I remember back in the day, well, first, the very long tape measures. I don't know if anybody's been doing real estate for that long, but we had these tape measures that were like the size of our heads. And we'd carry them around and you'd give one side to the seller, right? And it would take forever because the seller would tell you the story when you were listing the house. Every room you walked through, they had more stories. So, which is a great rapport builder, but after you've been there like 2 hours, you just want to go home, right? So we started with those giant tape measures, which you had to write everything down on our legal pads, right? And then we went to more sophisticated means. We went to these laser measures. I don't know if anybody even has one of these. I kept it just for classes, but they were never very accurate. And if there was too much light in the room, quite honestly, they were off a foot. If you sneezed, and you had to write every single room down, and it just was a pain. And of course, we went into technology, our smartphones, which gave us measuring apps. And those are great for quick measures, but you still had to write everything down. So it really didn't save you that much time. So the idea of CubiCasa is you're literally hitting one button. It's tracking your location. At that point, you're hitting the record button and you're literally walking through, and that's how simple it is. And we're going to do it today live so you can actually see it. You don't have to take my word for it. But you can also edit it because you know what? We'll use Jamie. Jamie on our call might say, you know what? I don't want to call that the laundry room. I actually want to label that a mud room because it's off the garage and they have these beautiful, built-in wood lockers. And, so she may want to call it something different, or he or she, I guess it could be either. They may want to call it something completely different. You can also add your logo. You can relabel what you want those rooms to be called. Sometimes, you have those areas in the kitchen. I just had one the other day where it's really more of a butler's pantry. So I didn't want to just have it all labeled kitchen. I wanted to show that this hallway was a butler's pantry. And so you want to point those things out. You can also color coordinate this. I like to do it with my company colors because I think it looks a little nicer. You can add your logo to it. But it's really nice when they look at your floor plan, they can see very quickly, just scanning through without even thinking about it, there are 4 bedrooms or 4 bathrooms because it stands out. So those are, those benefits of using CubiCasa is it's not a one size fits all. If you need to change it, you can. Do you have to? No. I love the fact that when I do CubiCasa, it literally puts the name of every room in place for me. I don't want to go put bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom, I don't want to do that. But if I want to change it, I have the ability to. But it does that initial labeling for you. But with one click, you can either change it on your phone or you can change it on your desktop. And so for me, it does fit because everything's not universal. I mean, I wish I could say it was, right? But there are times we need to highlight something, or maybe that homeowner is really insistent that's what they want it to be called. So it gives you the flexibility to do that. And I was just recently helping a first-time home buying couple, and they were so nice. But in meeting them in our first few houses that we looked at, the most important thing to them was the primary suite size. And so finally, after we looked at a couple houses, I finally said, they didn't care about anything else. They didn't care about a basement, but this primary suite size was, you could tell, was the number one priority to them. And so I asked them, and they said, you know what, our family gifted us this enormous bedroom set, and we love it, and that's the most important thing to them. And so having those room measurements right on there so we could actually see that ahead, because we know sometimes it's not only the size of the room, but it's the shape of the room. If you've got this weird, you might have a large room, but you might have an unusable area of the room, where this really shows them the whole room, exactly what those measurements are. And we didn't have to look at a bunch of homes that wasn't going to work, because that was their primary goal. And so seeing all of that right from the floor plan really is helpful. Okay, so next, obviously, it's going to allow you to get more qualified buyers looking for that type of home, hopefully reduce your market time, and obviously, it's going to be convenient when you're putting all those room sizes in. They even have a way you can copy and paste the room measurements right into Paradigm, which I love. So we'll talk about that too. All right, so next. How does it work? How long does it take? What do you really need to know? Well, one thing that I found in CubiCasa that I did not find in any of the others that we looked at that was really unique was you could do outside areas. I don't know if you can see really on this scan here, but they've included the deck and the outside balcony. Maybe you've got I've always wanted a she shed. I don't have one, but I've always wanted one. Maybe you've got a pole barn in the back. Maybe you've got a pool in the backyard. It actually includes those into your scan. So I thought that was very cool. On average, your scan is going to take you between 5 and 8 minutes. Now, let's say Christy on our call today, let's say, she does, I've seen many, many of her listings out there. She always gets those beautiful waterfront listings. And if that's you and you've got a listing that's, 8,000 square feet, well, yeah, it's going to take you a little bit longer, but the average scan is between 5 and 8 minutes. I would say most of mine have been right around that 7-minute mark. But I don't also get those, massive waterfront listings. So if you're getting those, massive waterfront listings, you do want to plan on a little bit more time, but on average, your average, let's say 2,000 square foot home is going to take you about 5 minutes. So, and I always, I love the Easter eggs, but this person that you see pretending to be the agent, he's actually the developer, the one who created CubiCasa. He is a gentleman, developer out of Norway, and I thought it was kind of cool to actually see him play the part of the agent. But again, 5 to 8 minutes is your average time for your scan. You don't need any software to do this. And I'm going to tell you one advancement that actually isn't even shown here that they recently made. You can see when he's actually walking through that listing, he's turning his phone in that landscape mode. I never really liked that. It doesn't really fit as nice in your hand. You got to use 2 hands, right? They've actually changed that. You now can actually do it in portrait mode. You're literally hitting the record button. It's finding your geolocation, and it's allowing you to simply walk through the listing. And you can do it this way now too. One of the other things they just released is there is a pause button. I'm going to be honest, if you remember exactly where you're standing, that may work for you. I just want to set 5 minutes aside, walk through the listing so I don't have to start and stop in that exact same spot. So if you use the pause button, you just want to remember that you want to start and stop in that same area. But those are 2 things that they just recently released. Doesn't matter if you have an Android device or you're using an iPhone, will work on either device. It cannot be a flip phone. I know I did get that question in a previous class. I did laugh because I didn't even think those were in existence anymore, to be honest. But you don't need any special software, just the app. You don't need a tripod, or you don't need a selfie stick to walk around with. Really, when people ask me, what am I shooting for? Do I aim at the ceiling? Do I aim at the floor? The easiest way is to just simply point at the baseboards or where the baseboards would be of the wall. And it uses what we call LiDAR. My son calls it the Spider-Man app because that's kind of what it looks like. It kind of uses a web technology, and you'll see it kind of, when we do our live scan, you'll see it kind of crawl up the wall. And what that's doing is it's giving you the most accurate measurement, because what it's doing is your phone has something for measuring called LiDAR, and it literally is measuring the entire room using that web app. I like it also because it makes it so simple. If you are too close to the wall, I call them, I need these in my life, my blonde friendly instructions. It will tell you, step back. You want to be about 1 foot to 2 feet away from the wall. Doesn't stop your scan or interfere with your scan in any way. It just reminds you that you want to back up a little bit. Sometimes I get, walking and I'll walk a little too fast, or I'll turn a little too fast. And it'll tell you, please slow down or turn a little slower. You do not have to crawl through the listing. You can walk at a normal pace. It's only if you start kind of swinging your arms. Sometimes I'll get talking to my son and, not paying attention. And so if you're doing that, it will remind you. But a normal clip, I walk at a pretty good pace. You can continue to do that. You want to just remember, sort of aim toward the baseboard and then literally walk through every room. The hardest part of your scan, I think, happens way before you start scanning. It's just like setting up for an open house. You want to make sure the closet doors are open. If you've got walk-in closets, you want to make sure that the blinds are open so that we can see that there's a window there. So you just want to make sure that you have the lights on, just like if you were preparing for an open house, because you don't want to have to keep stopping, setting your phone down, opening the door, so you just want to have everything open, all the lights on, all the blinds apart. So as you're going through, it can label all of those things for you. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm not a big video person, but I just want to give you a quick 30-second video to kind of see what's happening in the process of a scan. So yes, you, the human, are walking through, but there are times that you have to enter and exit in that same room. Now, you don't want that doubly counted in your square footage, right? So one of the big differences in CubiCasa versus the 7 that we tried, or the 6 others, I should say, that we tried, is that when you're scanning, it's actually sending it to a real life human. And I loved that because let's face it, the accuracy is there, but sometimes you have to double back through a room, or sometimes you may have to walk through a particular area twice. So a human can actually review that in the scan. Of course, it's using geolocation as well, and they know not to count that in your total square footage. So that was one of the big things. So this little quick 30-second video is going to show you in the big box, it's going to show you the human, how they're walking through. It's going to show you what's actually being captured in the scan and then what you're seeing on your viewer. So again, I'm not a big video person, but I like to kind of understand how it works, and hopefully you'll be able to kind of see this for yourself, and then it makes a little bit more sense. I got through the video, the ad, but clearly I did not. There we go. All right. So again, this area here, this is the human literally walking through that scan. Sorry about the groovy music there, but so the human is walking through. That's what you're seeing in this large square. Right up here, this is actually what you're seeing on your viewer. Then down below, this is that LiDAR being captured. Hopefully you can kind of see here, my point was, you see how there were times that they had to double back through a room. The staircase is down here, so they certainly are going to have to come through that area again. That's where having that human eye that can go in and say, well, this is that same area. That human is also the one verifying that the label is correct. So if you're in the kitchen and they're seeing a fridge and a stove, they know to check to make sure that that one's labeled kitchen and to put that in the right area of the scan. So I just kind of thought that was interesting. And I'm one of those people, my brain is always like, well, how is it doing that? You know, show me how it's doing that. So I thought sometimes being able to see it is even more helpful. All right. So one of the other big differences in this scanning process versus others is, as I mentioned, as you can see right here, there is kind of a kidney-shaped pool in the backyard. Obviously, if you're Christy Lohman, you've got those fancy listings, you want to showcase that in your floor plan, right? If you've got, I've always wanted a she shed. I don't have a she shed, but if I had one, or you have a pole barn, when you're doing your scan, you can include those as well. The other thing that it did, which I loved, is curved walls. If you've ever tried to measure, we have a subdivision over by me, and a lot of the homes have these beautiful curved staircases, and they also have these beautiful curved hallways, which is wonderful. But if you've ever tried to measure that, it's incredibly inconvenient. So this is an easy way. LiDAR does all of that for you. So trying to measure that would take a really long time. With LiDAR, it's just using the measurements of the walls with that LiDAR technology. So it's still adding all of that in correctly for you. The biggest question I get right about now is, well, where do you start? Do you do a basement? Do you do a garage? And the answer is absolutely. You do the garage, you do the basement, you do outbuildings. And the hardest part, and it doesn't matter if you start on the, let's say it's a colonial and Christy wants to start on the second level, or if you start in the basement, it doesn't matter. But what does matter is that you do the whole floor continuously. And what I mean by that is, if you're on, let's say it's a ranch and you're on that primary level, that if that's where your balcony and your patio or your deck, if that's where that is, then you want to do that all together. You want to have that door wall open so you can just walk out. You can walk out and showcase the pool, the deck, while you're on that floor. What you don't want to do is start on the second floor, run down and do that, and then you want to do it all contiguously, right? You want to start it. I usually start at the top. I start at one end of the house and I just work each floor. Then I go down, then I work the next floor. And yes, you can include those basements, you can include those garages, all of that. I'm also going to show you how to sign up for this, because if you don't sign up the correct way, it's going to want to charge you. So I'm going to show you how to avoid that altogether too. So there's some things you need to know about signing up. Don't panic if you've already downloaded the app. I'll show you where you can go and still put in your information so you get all the freebie stuff. This is another really good example. I love examples because that's how my brain works, but this is an actual real life B&B in Maine. Now, why you would have an Airbnb in the shape of a shoe, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe you have a shoe fetish or it's Shoe Town or something like that. I don't know, but this is an actual real Airbnb. When I saw it, I'm like, this is a perfect example. Most of the rooms, as you can see in this Airbnb, are curved. So measuring this, one, would be a nightmare. Two, what it's going to do is it's going to break down the entire floor. So you're going to get several different formats back. So let me explain why. First, you're going to get every level as its own floor plan. You're going to get the ability to toggle on the measurements or toggle them off. So again, if you're doing new construction at a model, you can toggle them off if you've got an elevation A, B, and C. But then it will give you a combined scan, as you're seeing here. So all the levels, floor 3, floor 2, floor 1, everything on one combined. The reason it gives you a couple different formats is so that you can put it where you want in the MLS. Like for me, I want my floor plans included in my photos. So when they're looking on Zillow and Realtor.com and all these other places, I want them to be able to see those right in the photo. However, I also like to have them in associated docs, because if you're using the Collab Center, for example, it just got a complete redo. Did you know for the first time, and it's long overdue, by the way, for the first time, we as agents can offer buyers working with us more information than they can find on Zillow and Realtor.com, because they now can see floor plans, rules and regs, if it's a condo, bylaws, if there's a homeowners association, seller's disclosures, lead-based paint disclosures. They now can see that through you using the Collab Center. Doesn't even matter whether they're from RealComp, whether they're from My Real Source, whether they're from Gmark, does not matter. They are actually in the Collab Center. So for the first time, we can tell our clients we're giving them information faster because they're actually set up in the real MLS database in the new Collab Center, and they can see more information than they can when they're looking on Zillow. I know, it's like about time, right? It's only taken us forever. All right, so here's some things you need to know though. When you are signing up, you do have to select that you are an agent or an appraiser. If you don't do one of those options through us, then it's going to try to charge you. So you don't want any charges, so make sure that you sign up that way. And I'm going to show you exactly how to sign up. The other thing is your first scan, you want to select all the freebies because they want to impress you for your first scan. By the way, your first scan does not have to be a listing. It can be your own home. It could be a neighbor's home. It could be a listing that you've got coming down the road. It doesn't matter. But on that first scan, you want to check all the bells and whistles because they give you all the freebies on your first scan free because they want you to see it. They want you to try out all their products, and then they think that you'll be so wowed that you'll do a lot of the upsells. So your first scan, you want to select those extras. As I mentioned, they do guarantee a 24-hour delivery. I've gotten all of mine back in 12. One was, I think, 13 or 14 hours, but most of mine have come back in 12. But if you need it quicker, let's say you're listing that property. So let's say Christy's listing this beautiful waterfront house today, and she needs it back. She's going to put it on the market today, and she wants it back right away. You can do a 6-hour turnaround, but there is an upsell. Okay. The upsell, let me explain how that works, is $15, but you get 20% off of all of your upsells because you're a My Real Source member. So if Christy's listing it and she wants it back in 6 hours, it's going to cost her, $13. So it's going to cost you $13 to get it back right away. So most of their upsells are included in that $13 price. For instance, if you are an appraiser and you need the GLA report, which I don't know if you are familiar with that. If we have any appraisers on the call, they'll know. But it's kind of like that graph paper where it shows the ingresses and egresses and it graphs it out. If you need a report like that, same thing. It's $15, but with your 20% discount, it works out to be $13 and you'll have it back right away. So the other thing to know, and this is, I think, the most confusing part, so I kind of like to save this to the end. If you go over 5,000 square feet, now I haven't, because I usually get, the fixer-uppers and the 1,500 square foot house. So even when you do the basement, the garage, and everything, it's 3,000 square feet total, right? However, if you're like Christy Lohman and you got the big fancy listings and the waterfront listings, and let's say it's 8,000 square feet, then there is going to be that $15 charge. And the reason is, it's not that they're trying to nickel and dime you. It's that human who has to review it, if it's a lot longer footage that they have to go through, that's what they're trying to cover. So again, if it's over 5,000 square feet, and yes, that would include the basement and the garage. If it's over 5,000 square feet, then it would be that $15 with the 20% off. Okay, so those are the things you need to know. If you just do the traditional listing, you're probably never going to have a charge at all. However, if you go over that 5,000, that's when it will tell you, here's the estimated square footage, and this is going to be the cost. You can edit the room names, as I mentioned. You can add your own logo, and you can even change the color scheme. And I'm not going to go into all of this, but they have all different pricing options. And again, you can do fixed furniture, you can have it staged, you can do 3D renderings, you can do AI renderings. I mean, every product anymore, it seems like they have upsell galore. And I tell you, I think the basics is really, now I do pay the $15 charge, which again works out to, I think it's $12, because I like, there's a few things in here I'm going to show you. And one is this new interactive hotspot that they just came out with. And I love that. I use it on everything now. It is, I think, the next step of making your floor plans look even better and making more sense. So I'll show you that in just a minute. Again, it's brand new, but I've used it. And if you use Nextdoor Photos, which I use, they actually do this for you now on even their basic package, and I think they're pretty reasonable. But anyway, even if you use Nextdoor Photos, if you do use them now, and I don't know if anybody does on our call, make sure you put the My Real Source 10 in when you go to order it, because you get 10% off as a My Real Source member, and they automatically do CubiCasa with the hotspots, and they set it all up for you. It's so nice. I'll actually show it to you. I'll log in and actually show you what it looks like. If you're an appraiser, as I mentioned, this is that GLA report. This is going to showcase your ingresses and egresses. Now, there's so much going on with appraisals right now, and what a hot mess. I just took a class with my friend, Lori Jagloy, gosh, I think just 2 or 3 months ago, and it's amazing how much is changing in the world of appraisals. So having that GLA report to do all that for you, I think is huge. Here's kind of a good example of the color coordinating. Again, you can add your own logo to these, and that's fine. But do you see how the color coordinating, you can immediately tell just by looking at this that this is a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home. I don't have to really investigate the room labeling. It just sort of stands out. Where I thought this was really helpful, especially because I work at the MLS and people would be all too happy to hit that corrections button and rat me right out. But if you have a partially finished basement, so this basement, technically, if I was anyone else, I would have just labeled that it was a finished basement, okay? Because it was all decked out. It was 90% finished. But there was this little unfinished area that they used for storage. And I was afraid if I labeled it if I labeled it finished, they'd say, oh, she works at the MLS, she should know better. So I just labeled it unfinished or partially finished. But I wanted to show that the basement was 90% finished. So I color coordinated it so that it matched my company colors, and that the finished area was all highlighted in like a pale red, and then just that unfinished area had like that light kind of like a gray or charcoal look, so you could see how much really was unfinished. So those would be some great ideas when you're trying to coordinate these, just so it's a little bit easier for people to see, especially if they're flipping through a lot of homes and you want them to get the most information quickly. All right, the other thing is the formats. As I mentioned, they send you a picture, a JPEG file that you can add to pictures. They also send you the PDF format so that you can put those right into your associated docs. This was the only part that I got a little bit nervous about, and I'll tell you why. So we here at My Real Source, whether you're with one of our vendor MLSs, which we have a few of those people on our call today, we at My Real Source, we actually provide MLS services like CubiCasa, like Paragon, Cloud CMA to a lot of other MLSs in the state. There are actually 34 MLSs in the state of Michigan, and we now provide 9 of them with software. And so they attend our classes, they use our support, and we love that. And we've always had a policy here at My Real Source about customer service. We believe that customer service should be for all of our products, and it should be in-house. Because as an agent, there is nothing more frustrating than when I have a problem. Let's say you're trying to get listings into Cloud CMA. Well, it's really starting in Paragon, right? And it's going to end up in Cloud. So there are some MLSs that will send you to 2 different products. Well, how inconvenient is that? First of all, that's terrible. Second of all, more and more software products are being outsourced to other countries. So there's nothing more frustrating as an agent when you're trying to write an offer or you're trying to do something and they send you to another country where you're on hold for 40 minutes and then someone answers the phone that you can't understand and they don't know what you're talking about because they've never been an agent. So what we decided many years ago was that for our vendor MLSs and for My Real Source members, we were going to support everything in-house, and it was going to be a free service 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And we still offer that even to our vendor MLSs. However, with CubiCasa, we can certainly support any general questions you have, questions that anything we covered in this class. The one thing we can't do though, we can't see the feed inside of your phone. And so I got really nervous when they said that they were going to support 24/7. And I'm like, oh, we've worked so hard on our customer service. We've been so proud of it. Matter of fact, almost all of our customer service reps are agents. So when you call with an agent question, they know what you're talking about. Because you call some companies, if you have an EMD question, like where would I put they have no idea what you're talking about because over there, it's called something completely different, right? So when they said we weren't going to be able to see inside to support CubiCasa, I thought, well, okay, we're all going to test the customer support and see how it is. You can find customer support right in the app. And so I think I've used it 6 or 7 times now. And I actually kind of just used it because I wanted to test it and see how it was. I was really pleasantly surprised. I got an immediate response within 30 seconds. I just used the simple chat, but it knows who you are. So it knows what MLS you belong to. It knows, I even asked a couple trick questions to see if I was with another MLS, if they would answer the question correctly. And I was very pleasantly surprised because they know who you are. They can really assist you much faster. Again, we're still here for those general questions. You can still call us 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and we'll help you. It's inside your phone we can't see. So that scan itself, if you do have a question about the scan itself, that's when it's really just easiest. And they are global, so they have people from one end of the globe to the other, so 24 hours a day. I tested it at like 11 o'clock at night, and I was very, very happy. Within 30 seconds, she answered my question right away. And again, I threw in even a couple trick questions, and they were able to answer everything. So I was very surprised because technical support is not that great these days in most companies. So I was very happy. So if you do need tech support, it's right inside the app itself. It's best to use. They do have support numbers as well, but it's best to use it right in the app because you don't have to give them a lot of information. It's all right there. And you do, like I said, within 30 seconds, I had my answer. To sign up, where do you go to sign up? You can sign up right in the MLS. It's basically sign up, start scanning, and again, you're going to receive your scan right back within about 12 hours with all of the room measurements, the square footage, everything. So to sign up and get all the free stuff though, what you want to do is you want to sign up from Paragon under resources. Don't panic if you've already signed up and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. I'll show you how to fix it if you've already downloaded it. But you want to go under resources, CubiCasa floor plans, and it will ask you to sign up for an account. It's going to verify your MLS information. You're going to put in that you are a My Real Source member. Even if you're on this call from another MLS, let's say you're joining from the Midland Board of Realtors. Maybe you're joining from the Upper Peninsula Association. Doesn't matter. You do want to put in My Real Source for this code because that's how we secured everybody coming through so that you don't get charged. So you do want to pick My Real Source. It will then send an email right to your phone. The app looks just like you're seeing right here. It's kind of looks like 3 forward arrows. You only have to sign in one time. It will remember you on your phone, and then you can start scanning. There's no limit to your scans. As I mentioned, if you go over 5,000 square feet, that's when you're going to have a charge. But you could do 10 houses tomorrow if you wanted. So there's no limit. There's no sign up fee. There's no app fee. There's no charge to download it. Nothing like that. All right, so I'm going to show you this last 10-second video, and then we're going to do an actual scan. Right before we do the scan, I want to show you that brand new interactive hotspot. Again, that's why I pay that $13 fee, just because I really like this, and I like the way it looks in the MLS, and I like how easy it is. But they also have now, and this is included free, you don't have to sign up for anything, but they have what we call snapshots. And snapshots is, let's use Christy again. She's at her beautiful waterfront home, and she's walking through the bridgeway, and she's like, wow, this is, I call it the money shot, right? This is, you're looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, this is going to sell this house. Instead of having to stop your scan, if you wanted to grab that, maybe you're making some initial photos before hiring Nextdoor, or before coming and taking the grandiose photos, you can literally do a snapshot, which grabs that, and it'll allow you to take photos while you're doing your scan without interrupting your scan. So that's one of the new highlights too. But let me show you this real fast, and that way you can see exactly how that snapshot works, as well as the property report. All right, so yeah, and sorry about the cheesy music, but hopefully you can kind of get the idea. And I'm going to actually take 1 second and just kind of switch over here and show you one last thing, and then we'll wrap up with our live scan. Once I switch over to my phone, it does take about 30 seconds. So I'm going to show you everything on my desktop I can first. But let me show you those new interactive hotspots, because this is why I pay the extra fee. So I just kind of want to show you a real quick example. So thanks for humoring me. But this is the interactive hotspot that you're seeing right now on your screen. What I like about this, as they're looking at your floor plans, they can go through and either click on the photo to the right to jump around in your floor plan. The only thing I found that you can't do yet, and they are working on this, it's just right now, it only allows you to move the hotspots within the property. You see this deck area? Every once in a while, we've got those pretty decks, or that, you know, that patio, maybe you want to showcase and you want to do a photo from out there. It doesn't let you move it out of the structure yet. That is something that they're working on. But right now, it gives you 26 hotspots, and you can move them wherever you want. So I liked, as I mentioned, I use Nextdoor Photos. I liked how they had all my hotspots all set up for me. But if I want to go in and I want to edit them, or maybe I took a photo myself that I want to add, which I did in this case on my listing, I'll show you. I can go in and I can click edit or manage my hotspots, and I can move them around. So if you wanted a little more in one room and they have it kind of on the corner over here, you can make those changes. The only thing you can't do yet is you won't be able to move it outside the structure yet. You can actually add labels, as you can see down here, and they can even click on the floor plan itself instead of just clicking on the photos. I like that you can add to those photos. So if you've taken the photos and you want to upload them, you can do that as well. If you use Nextdoor Photos, they'll do your photos in there for you, but you can always go in and add more. Sometimes they have different basic plans. Like you get 13, I think it's 13 photos in their basic plan, which is the cheapie. I'm kind of cheap, so that's usually what I pay for. So for me, if I want to take a couple of my own photos and showcase them, I can still put them in. You can just simply upload them. I'll show you a little bit more about that. So just kind of wanted to show you, and you can actually bounce around between the floors. So this is the first floor, but if I want to see the second floor scans, same thing. So I really like that. I think it makes it look very, very cutting edge. I think it allows them to see more of the photo and kind of really see. I mean, you can really see everything in this floor plan this way. So just kind of wanted to show you that. Let's see if I can log in really quickly to Nextdoor too, and I'll kind of bear with me. I should have had that open, but I'll show you this too, because I think this is a really great way to kind of look at your listings and see exactly how easy it is. So bear with me. Okay. So Nextdoor, and this is not a plug for Nextdoor, although I do really like them, and we do offer them as one of our preferred vendors to take your photos. What I like though is I think they're very affordable. They create easy tours for you, everything like that. But you see how it says floor plans right here? You can actually click manage my floor plan. And this is where you can see the hotspots. So if I want to add a hotspot, so this happened to be my listing in Washington that I had recently. So if I want to add another one, if I want to add descriptions, I can do that. Now, Nextdoor did all of this for me in my dashboard. But if I wanted to add more photos, if I wanted to go into the kitchen, maybe add a picture that I took, I can actually do that. You can also edit them. So I like that it's all set up for me, but I have the ability to go in and make those changes too. And as I mentioned, you can change the room names, you can change the hotspots. So just kind of wanted to show you in a real life example on this listing of how that ended up. And again, they set them all up for you, but you can change. You could remove one if you didn't like the photo. You can also, as you can see, I can kind of drag it. Maybe I wanted it to be more showcasing this area. You can actually move them anywhere. But the only thing is you can only move them within the structure for now. That is something, especially if you get, like I said, if you're Christine, you get those beautiful waterfront, listings. It's nice when you can showcase those too. So that is coming. It is on their roadmap, but it's just not there yet. All right, so if you will indulge me 1 second, I am going to switch over and I'm going to show you the app live. And the reason I do this, and I know a lot of people are like, I would never do that. It's like, scary, so much can go wrong. But as an agent, I'm going to see live how it's going to look. And what I mean by that is, when you're really there and you're standing next to the seller, I want to know, is it going to be user friendly? Is it going, what should I expect? Is there going to be a lot of questions? Is there something I'm going to need to fill out? Right? So I am just going to switch over. It takes about 10 seconds, so bear with me. But I like to do this so you can actually see in real time how it's going to be responsive. Is it going to take a long time? What buttons am I going to see? So I just kind of like to show you. We'll just do a really quick one. And again, sorry that my house is under construction right now, but we'll just do the office in the little of the hallway so you kind of get the general idea. All right. So I just going to switch this over. And if I could just have anybody on our, let me just find it really fast here, Colleen's iPhone. If I can just have anybody on the call today, just throw in the questions that you can see my phone. Again, there's nothing worse than you're talking about this great app and no one can see what the heck you're doing. So if anybody can just let me know that they can see. Okay, Jamie, yes, I see your question. I've already downloaded it. Can you help me so that I make sure I get all that? Absolutely. I'm going to show you how to do that once we're in there. If anybody can just let me know that they can see my phone, we can go ahead and get started. I just don't want to start showing you the app and finding out, oh my gosh, nobody could see what the heck you were talking about, Colleen. Yep, we can see you. Okay, great, Jamie. And yes, I will definitely do that. All right, so where we are going to go today, and I'm going to give you a little tip too. I hate fumbling when I'm looking for apps in my phone. And what I mean by that is I want to have all of my apps when my buyer is standing next to me. I do not want to turn this up so you guys can see it too. I don't want to be fumbling around going, oh my gosh, where is that app? Where is my lockbox app? Where is my showing time app so I can get the lockbox code, right? So your first little time-saving tip is it's really helpful when you create something like a real estate folder. Where you can find everything. So I have everything from the new showing time. By the way, if you've not tried the new showing time, it's awesome. It does things that we've been asking for years. Like I hated the fact you could not do a tour on your phone, meaning that you can drop them in a showing time cart and you can add properties to your cart. It'll give you turn-by-turn driving directions that you can, with one button, share to your buyers behind you. It does so much. You can edit your showing time card on your phone. These were all pain points in the old showing time, so it's very good if you haven't tried that. But I want to have everything from, I keep my title rate sheet in here, so when I'm doing my net out, I can just click the button, put the price in. It tells me what the title work's going to cost the seller. Everything from the Collab Center to Paragon Connect, I have everything in one spot. I also love upside down signs. That is definitely, if you haven't tried that, it's a very cool way of, I live in the country. And for me, a lot of times, as I mentioned, I'm cheap. I don't want to buy two signs, but I might want to have the sign right on the corner so you can see it from both fields. And so it allows you to literally stand where you want it. It GPS locates it. And then in 24 hours, they guarantee a 24-hour delivery, and they take a photo when it goes up, and you can add all the fancy things like lights and flyer boxes and everything cool. But I like to have everything in one spot. I want to have my central lock, my master lock. I want to have everything I'm going to need when I'm showing houses or I'm doing business in this folder. And of course, I want to have CubiCasa in there too. So let's go there. So what you're seeing is the actual, you can see I didn't have to log in. You log in one time, it's going to auto remember you. At the bottom is basically your whole navigation pane. And it will tell you what scans are ready for your review, and you can see old scans. I can see scans in here that I did 3 years ago. They're in here. So, but if you want to start a new scan, you're just going to look for that scan button at the bottom here. And the first thing it's going to ask you is, what are you scanning? And it needs to know that because if you are scanning, let's say, an apartment style condo, well, those doors are very close together, right? So it's going to need to know what type of structure you're scanning. And I recently listed an apartment style condo in Detroit, and those doors are like right on top of each other. So it's just trying to use the geolocation and figure out what it's about to scan. Is there going to be multiple addresses within that? So I'm going to say, I'm just going to do my house. I'm going to click single family home and continue. Right away, you can see it found my address. If you need to change it, or you need to add a suite number, or maybe the addresses are really close to one another and you just need to edit that, you can click that pencil and put in the new address. But it's just using your GPS location. When you sign up for the app, it is going to ask to use your camera and your GPS location. You do want to allow both of those so you don't have to manually go in and do this every time. So this happens to be my address, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit confirm. Next, if you want to turn off the tips, you can. You don't have to go through this, but it's kind of just reminding you exactly what I said. You want to open up the doors and windows. You want to make sure that you don't have to keep stopping. So turn on the lights, open up those blinds so it can tell, oh, this is a window. Oh, this is a walk-in closet. That way it can do all of that labeling for you. So, and you can turn these tips off, but just kind of as a reminder, you're just going to walk at a normal pace. You don't want to aim at the ceiling. You don't want to aim at the floor. You're just going to aim at the baseboards. So just kind of some tips. The reminders, and again, you can turn all these off. I leave them on for the classes, but the reminder is, again, you really don't want to keep going through the rooms more than you have to. You don't want to be too close to any walls or furniture. One thing I should point out is normally when I'm not in week 5 of a 9-week construction project, I have a little OCD and my house is very much in order. However, when we started beta testing these, my son was doing a candy drive at his school, and we had boxes of candy bars all over the dining room, like, big boxes. And it looks past all of that. It's going to be able to look past clutter. I did have a hoarder house that was a little more challenging than others, but it actually is using those walls as the structure. And I'll show you that when we get to the later. So I'm going to hit the Let's Scan button. And you can see it's pretty user-friendly, right? I mean, it's got a record button and it's got your snapshot button. All you're going to do to start your scan you're just going to hit that record button. Now, again, you'd want to have things like your closet. I would have my closet open, but hopefully you can see that. I hope it's coming out on there. I always worry when I do this live, but hopefully you can see. Remember, I talked about it kind of like the, you can see it a little more on the dark, I think, the Spider-Man looking web pattern. Well, that's what it's doing. It's using that to use LiDAR to actually measure your room. So I'm going to try to stay pretty close today, but you can see I'm just literally walking through the room and it's measuring with those accurate measurements using that LiDAR. Now, let me show you a couple not to do examples, but just so you know, it gives you, again, what I call the blonde friendly instructions. So if I'm too close to a wall, do you see how, and hopefully that's coming across okay, it's just telling you. So it's just telling me, hey, you're too close. Back, it doesn't stop your scan or interfere with your scan in any way. It's just reminding you that if you want a more accurate scan, you can't be quite that close to the wall. If you move too fast, as you can see, I'm kind of walking at a decent clip here. I mean, I'm not going slow. It's working just fine. However, if I swing my arm around a little bit, so if I do go too fast, it's going to give me, again, my blonde friendly instructions saying, turn a little bit more slowly. So it's, again, not stopping your scan. It's not interfering with your scan. It's just giving you those instructions that either you're too close or you might be moving too fast. If I want to grab that money shot, which this wouldn't be it, but if I wanted to, I can click that camera and you can see it's just capturing photos that you could now use for that interactive hotspot or maybe a temporary flyer. Now, again, this is why we want to have our prep done, but you can see really the goal is to have the windows open. So as we're going through, I don't have to keep stopping. And I'm not going to go too much further because I think we kind of did the points of our tour. But for me, I like to know what to expect ahead. So I want to know before I get to my listing, what should I be looking for? What's it going to look like? So when you're ready to finish your scan, you can go ahead and hit yes. And basically what it's doing is it's now scanning it. And I can either, I can send it right now. At the top, there's a little to send button. Obviously, I'm not going to do that because it's not really a full scan. But if you're, let's use Christy Lumen again. She's always got those beautiful, fancy waterfront houses. And sometimes when you're on the water, you don't get great reception. So let's say that, you don't have a great signal. I wouldn't send the scan from there then, because what will happen is it'll queue for a little bit and it'll just take longer and slow your phone down. Probably wait till I got home in that case if I had kind of a weak reception, or sometimes I pick up Canada, it seems like when I'm doing that. So in those cases, you could always just save for later. And then when you get back, you could go ahead and send it. Most of the time, my reception is pretty good. I have Verizon, so no problems. Most of the time, you can just send it from wherever you are. But if you are, listing a waterfront property, maybe it's a little bit slow, then I would probably wait and just store it. It will tell you how many snapshot photos. So again, you can go ahead and use those. Let's actually take a look at our scans. So and again, you could do this on a desktop. You could also do it on your phone. If I go to my orders, it'll show you things you have ready to send, things that you have scanned. I have a couple different accounts, but we'll use Hensel here. So this happened to be a ranch style home. So you can see if I wanted to share this, let's say that my buyer's standing right next to me, I can go ahead and simply share it right to him. But remember how I said you could toggle off or on your room dimensions? So as you can see, there's a little toggle right here at the top, and all I have to do is toggle it on or off. Of course, you can blow this up. I can see all the scans separately, or I can see all the floors together. This happened to be a ranch, so it's only 2 floors. But again, if I want to quickly share this to someone, I can do that. If I want to make changes and add my logo, I can do that as well. So you can click make changes, how to change the room labels. It'll actually show you. I would probably do that stuff on my desktop, to be completely honest. I think it would make it a little bit easier. You can also rotate the labels. Maybe you want it on an angle to show, it's a long hallway, something like that. So these are all things that you can add. All right, so It will store these for you, so you don't have to worry. If you haven't used, I had one that I hadn't used, it was like 3.5 years, and it archived. You just hit the archive button and it sends it to you via email, and then it will allow you to open it up in like 3 or 4 minutes on your phone and via email. So it's a way of kind of just regenerating it. Maybe if you had a listing and you're getting ready to relist it 3 years later, you could do that same thing. Again, if I wanted to just share it, maybe I want to share the photo. It takes you right to the options that you would have if you're sharing most things from your cell phone. So if you have any questions, now is a great time. I'm gonna answer Jamie's question really quick. So Jamie said, well, what happens if you already downloaded it? And that's fine. You have a profile button at the bottom, and this is where you find your account settings. So if you see, I think it's under your MLS settings. It was under account settings. It's now under application settings. So it will actually show you, do you want to be able to have that? Some people don't like that snapshot button. They think it's in their way. You could remove that. There's also under your profile, this is where you can, if you've already set up an account, you can add another account. Maybe you belong to 2 MLSs. I know that there's another MLS in our area that also has CubiCasa. I don't think their discount is the same. I think it's a little bit different on a couple of the products. But anyway, long story short, you can, if you have another MLS that you belong to and you need to add credentials for that, you can add that here. But you can also go into your profile and you can actually change so that you want to add that My Rules or something. I already did it on mine. I wish I could show you. It's right under your account settings, and it will say MLS account, and it will allow you to switch from different MLSs as well. So, and Jamie, if you have any questions in doing that, I've already set my rule source up, so it's not going to let me go back in and change it. But if you have any questions on exactly where to go, or you want to be walked step by step, I can walk you through it too. But when if you've already logged in, you're just going to open up your profile. You're going to open up that, and you're going to just make sure you put that My Real Source in, and that you are an agent or an appraiser if you have already set it up. Okay, let's see. The support also, as I mentioned, if you have a question, you can ask that right under the Learn Center. Home just kind of takes you to all those scanning tips. Here's where they also have recommended photographers, and look, recommended. Also, one we recommend is the Nextdoor. So that you can see all of the stuff that, like your Nextdoor dashboard from here, you can tie it all together. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So if you have any questions, now is a great time to go ahead and throw those in the questions box. And I am just going to disconnect from here and show you where you can find this class in case you have any questions going forward. So just let me stop mirroring for 1 second. That's the hardest part of this class, is bouncing back and forward. So just share my computer screen and then we'll wrap up. All right. So hopefully, let's see. Okay. So hopefully you are seeing my screen once again. So how do you find this class, and how do you, in case you don't use CubiCasa right away, maybe you want to go back to it, a couple months from now, and you're like, how did that lady with the fuzzy hair, how'd she do that switch? So all you're going to do is you're going to go into Paragon. This is also where you're going to sign up, by the way. So you're going to log into the MLS, go into Paragon, and this is where you will see CubiCasa floor plans. That's where you're going to sign up. So if you haven't signed up already, you're just going to click on that. You're going to click the sign up, scan, and done to set up your account. If you've already set up your account, you can click the login button. Really quick here. And then that will take you right to your dashboard. This is where you can find all of your orders. This is where you can find all of your different floor plans. This is where you can find all of the options as well. So if I want to go back into order history, this is our hands up. It might be a little bit easier to see this, so I just kind of wanted to show you. So this happens to be my home that I did the scan on. So you can see how you can make easy changes here. You can download this so that you can put it in the MLS. You can, let's see, you can change the room measurements. You can jump from one floor plan to the other. And then again, you'll always get that combined right here. So pretty easy to navigate. Nothing you really, it's really so easy. Even my son says you can't screw it up, Mom. So did download through Paragon, but I was able to add my role source within the app. Yep, Robert, as long as you were able to add my role source into the app, you are all set. Jamie, if you need anything else, like I said, feel free. You can reach out to me. I'll actually give you my contact information in the follow-up email. And I think, can you help me if I've already downloaded? Yep, another person downloaded it. Okay, good. Okay, well, I think that's all the questions. Let me go back to where you can find this recording, because like I said, the thing about real estate products, we don't list a home every single day, right? We don't write I wish we did, that would be awesome, but we don't write an offer every single day. We don't use CubiCasa every single day. So how do you go back and find this class when you need it? And the answer is, we record all of our classes with the exception of the photos class and the roadmap class, because that's like for brand new ideas. Those are kind of proprietary to us. All the other ones we really record. So to find this class recording, just click on resources. Again, resources is kind of like your toolbox. We're trying to put everything in there. That was one thing I hated when I came to my role source was, oh my gosh, this is over here and this is over here. And how do you keep track of it all? So kind of think everything, all of your products and software are all going to be under this resources section. One of the things I've been excited about is building out our education section. So this is where you can see how many Con Ed credits you have for the year. You can go to CE Marketplace. If you're interested in our upcoming classes, like maybe you want to check out the new hybrid classroom we just finished, just click on the education corner and it will show you the ones that are in person. You'll see them in orange here, in person or via webinar. Just find the class that you're interested in. By the way, we have a lot of Con Ed classes now. So if you're looking for some legal Con Ed credits, or you're just looking for some, traditional Con Ed credits, you can find those, the elective ones, you can find those there too. Just click on register here. It'll tell you we've got one actually in-house tomorrow. It's our photo copyrights class. I thought I knew a lot about real estate photography until I took that class. There's so many things going on, so many lawsuits going on with copyrights and what you need to know. And having that there's an actual form that's really important to have in your listing packages. So anyway, that's all explained. This is a live class, so this is one of those you can come in for, and all you have to do is click here to register. So that's there. But if you're ready to watch the video, as I mentioned, that's another option under resources, education. There's recorded webinars. I tell people the easiest way to find what you're looking for in our class list, it basically just takes you to YouTube. It takes you right to our channel, and all you want to do is click on this videos button and just find the class that you're interested in. So Taylor and I just taught a great class on everything you need to know about using social media to promote your listings, how to prepare for your listing appointment, right through advertising it with our brand new, came out last week, listing activity report that gets sent automatically to the sellers. It's so cool. There's also a new reverse prospecting that was just released. There's also, which I like that so much, but I used to hate reverse prospecting. I really found it very awful. The new reverse prospecting is awesome. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely take a moment and check it out, because I had an agent call me and thank me last week who said she was just getting ready to take a lowball offer on her listing. And when she used the reverse prospecting I showed her, it showed that a client had just received, not her client, another agent's client had just received it and favored it. She reached out to that agent, the agent showed it, and she got a much higher offer after quite a bit of time on the market. So it's a very cool tool. It's where you can actually see what other agents' clients are saying about your listing, and you can see how many people received it. I mean, it's very cool. And there's a new price analysis tool that shows you how many more eyes and people that are actually set up in real life MLS accounts that have been created within the last 6 months, how many people can see your listing or automatically received your listing. Anyway, it does a lot of cool things. It's kind of hard to cram it all into this class, but so definitely take a look at some of the upcoming classes, but just find the class. And then I try to put the date always after the class, so you know, like this one was 113. I obviously screwed up the date on this one. That's not good. But it'll show the class date. So it'll be this class, CubiCasa, and then the date. And then that way you can watch this exact class so you know exactly where you're trying to jump to. So hopefully that is helpful. So thank you, Christy, for being our example. Thank you, everybody, for all the good questions. Again, Jamie, if you have any question on changing your getting my real source in for your MLS, let me know. I'm sorry, I already set up mine, or I will show you exactly how to walk through that. But it's just under your profile and under your account, and you can add that information in. Remember, it will ask you for a credit card. Don't want to alarm you, but that's how, if it is over 5,000 square feet, that's when you will see that charge. Your first one, it shouldn't charge you for anything. Remember, add all those freebies in. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found CubiCasa helpful. There will be a quick survey. It takes less than a minute afterwards. Just kind of let us know what you thought of the class. If I missed anything, or if there's maybe a little better, something I could explain better, or something that you'd like to suggest. We love feedback here at My Real Source. So I'll be sending that out shortly. Other than that, I hope you have a great day. Happy scanning. Please go list some properties. We certainly need the inventory, and I hope you have a great day, everybody. Thanks again.